Nick, what is up, dude?
What's up, man?
Thank you for joining me, everybody. I have Nick Barry from Open Air Imports on the podcast to chat about some rad stuff today. Thank you, Nick, for hopping on and talking with me.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Dude, I was so stoked. We kind of connected on Instagram, and I totally wanted to have you on here to talk about importing cool stuff, you know, your car history and background, and just have a good old conversation.
Yeah. Well, where do you want to start?
Well, with these things, I usually just start to ask you, like, how your personal background, like, how did you get into Volkswagens or European cars or just cars in general?
Yeah. I mean, like I think most of us. I mean, it's definitely when we're little. My dad. I mean, growing up, I mean, we probably had 6, 7, 8 bugs in the driveway. I mean, he was
Nice.
air cooled guy, um, and just hanging out with him. I mean, he would basically like collect all of these bugs and then fix, clean one up, drive it for a little bit, sell it, while he's like then cleaning up another one, and then drive it, sell it, and then he eventually just over the years got rid of them all.
Oh.
So I'm still hunting for like the right one to maybe try and get to him one day, but
Mm.
um, it'll come. There's just it's very specific.
A
But
very
yeah, I mean,
specific air cooled, like Beetle.
very, yeah. Either probably like I think he said a 66 or a 68
Mm.
rag top. So hard shell
Nice.
rag with the rag top
Yeah.
roof. Um, I don't know why, but he said like that was one of his favorites. So I
All
mean,
the air cooled
I
guys
get
know
it.
all the nuanced things about all the different ears.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, I never sat there and learned all the things. I come from an air cooled family as well, and I'd be like, this one, my grandfather would be like, this one is cool because of this, and this one's cool because of that, and I'm like,
yeah.
I know water cooled stuff, and he's like, those aren't Volkswagens.
Yeah, yeah, that's where like it's cutting the sand, like not happening. Yeah, there's a big learning curve. I mean, it's like anything. There's all like Volkswagen ran so many different variations of things, and then
Hmm.
they just constantly changed and tweaked things, and then like you get into the mix of like the Brazilian
Hmm.
bugs that like they ran until I think 96,
Yeah.
and which we're able to import those, but they're like a mixture of just like, well, we have this left over, like let's put this together. All right, this one gets AC, this one doesn't. Like there's just such a weird blend of things,
Hmm.
and then even like the Mexico bugs, like there's just I can't figure out a rhyme or reason to anything. Like I don't get it, and I don't have someone to say, hey, this is that. Like just break it down for me.
Yeah.
We're like, this is a
You'll
Mark
get
One.
20
This is a
different
Mark Two.
yeah, you'll get 20 different stories from 20 different people. This is why they did
Oh
it.
yeah,
No, this is why they did
every
it.
every single time I was at Cars and Coffee here in Charlottesville this past Saturday, and I mean, probably one of my favorite bugs pulled up, and it was a
Mm.
rag top, but like I still don't know who the owner is. Like I've only seen the
Oh,
car,
nice.
and this other guy walks over. He's like, "Oh yeah, like just giving me the story." He's like, "I had one just like this, but now mine's over here," and like it's fun, it's cool, but I was like, I gotta meet this guy. Like I gotta figure this thing out.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I always talk to friends like I love air cooleds. You know, I love Buell. I love ovals. I love the split windows. Like, I'll see like gnarly buses and stuff. I just,
Yeah,
I mean, they're very expensive nowadays. And I don't
yeah.
know why they never like appealed to me. And my buddy Justin, who I had on the podcast, he kind of made it make sense. He said it's like probably a generational thing. You know what I mean? Because when I was coming into driving age, like Mark twos and like Mark threes, you know what I mean? Like all the stuff that was current is
Yeah,
like, yeah. And then I always thought air cooleds were like, oh, that's like my grandfather shit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Even though I always thought they
yeah.
were cool, but
It makes sense. I mean, I get it. I mean, I have, I want one,
so do I.
just
I
more or
don't want
less
to pay
like,
for one.
yeah, well, no one does. But I think, I mean, I'll definitely have a bug soon.
Hmm.
Probably a bus. We've been wanting one
Nice.
for a while and just trying to be really picky
Hmm.
with what I get because I want to do something once and not twice.
Yeah.
But at the rate I keep cars, it doesn't really matter.
You and me both, man. I mean, I'm horrible at that.
Yeah, every car I buy, someone's like, "Hey, how much do you want for that?" I'm like, "Well, here are your options."
I'll do that with cars sometimes, and I'll put I'll never get this. I want this, and it'll be like, okay, I'm like, it's yours.
Yeah, take it. Done. See you later.
All right. So Pops was in the air cooled, which was rad. And so you just kind of, you haven't had an air cooled like you said. So
yeah,
water cooleds came around. You came of driving age. It was what happened?
Yeah,
there?
I mean, it was just I wanted a Golf. My older brother had a Mark II.
Nice.
He had a Mark II Jetta diesel, and he would he's playing around with that, and then I was like, well, like I don't like Jettas, so I'm gonna get a Golf.
It.
And
he said
it. I'll openly say it. I don't like Jettas.
Yes. It's a running joke on this podcast that I hate Jettas.
Oh, well, good.
I'm actually going to get shirts made that say I hate Jettas. So,
just
thank you, Nick.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But Jettas. But, yeah, I mean, Golfs, GTIs, I mean, I have, it's got to be. I mean, I only know of one other in the U.S. It's so I say it's one of two. It's a Golf variant with a 2.9 liter synchro, so it's all-wheel drive with the VR6, and it rips. And that thing's sweet.
And the 2.9 VR, was that only available in Europe, or did that come over in Corrados? I can never remember that.
Yeah, that was Europe only. Man, that Corrado stuff is another one. Like, I think I'm just now getting into. Like, I don't know enough about them, but I know enough.
Yeah.
Like, I could look at one and tell you, like, oh, that's a G60, that's 16 valve, that's an SL. Like, I can look at it and tell you exactly what it is.
I was thinking about this.
But then there's always weird stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because I couldn't remember if the 2.9s did come into the United States in any of the Corrados, because that was the best shot. Or like maybe a weird Passat or something.
Honestly, I don't think North America got the 2.9.
I didn't think so either. That's what I was trying to remember the other day.
I feel pretty strong on that. Someone's probably going to tell me I'm full of
Final
shit.
Answer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like North America never got the 2.9. Right. That seems to be just a Euro-only platform, and
we definitely never got it in a Mark III variant synchro.
Yeah, we never got a variant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to cut that one out. But yeah, the Corrado stuff, I think the U.S. only got the 2.8s and the G60s.
Okay.
So like the 16 valves that we've brought over, like people freak out about because they're like, oh, we never got it, and weird Volkswagen people are great.
Yeah, they are.
And then the 2.9s, just that extra bit, that extra number makes a difference.
For sure. I will get into that because there is a lot. You almost have a business serving weird, quirky Volkswagen people, and there's there's such a crazy market over in Europe for like all these special edition stuffs that we didn't get, and the time frame that we're at with like the import 25-year cutoff, just and there's a whole fever with all like the Radwood stuff, and everyone wants retro things, so we'll get in that earlier. But what was your first Volkswagen? What was the first Volkswagen you picked up?
Yeah, mine was I'll send you a picture of it, but
Sick.
It's just a 96 4-door Sequoia green Mark III Golf.
Nice.
I wasn't allowed to have a GTI. My parents said, nope, you can't buy something that fast.
You can kill yourself.
Because I was gonna get in trouble, and I was not the one to get in trouble of my siblings. But I actually still have that car.
What?
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, I'm 31. I've had it.
Oh, man.
15 years, 16 years. I think 16 years now.
I'm jealous. You're the third person that's been on this podcast that's still. And we're back.
Welcome.
Man, I don't know where we're at, but let's just fill everybody in. We're having this dandy conversation about 2.9 liter VR motors, and then the power goes out at my house due to a thunderstorm. Just complete blackout.
Work from home, right?
Had to be like, I got you on Instagram. I was like, Dude, I don't know what happened. Well, I do
Are
know
we
what
gonna do
happened.
it here now? Why didn't we just start here?
We might just have to do this on Instagram. Sorry about that, but we're back. That's going to be a nightmare in the post edit for me.
Yeah,
But
you're gonna have a lot of fun.
I'll figure it out. Where were we? Doesn't matter where we were. We can just
something about Passats and 2.9s.
2.9s. No, I think we were on your first car still.
First car.
Yeah, that's right. We were talking about.
Mark III.
Yes.
We got down the rabbit hole.
How you still had it. I think the last thing I said was you're the third guest on the podcast who I've had on the podcast who still has their first car that was a Volkswagen, which I think is astonishing.
What was your first car?
My first car, this is why I hate Jettas. My first car was a Mark III 2-liter Jetta.
Oh, that's a good one to hate.
This is why I hate them. I don't hate Jetta coupes. I don't hate Mark I Jettas. I don't hate Mark II Jettas. I just hate Mark III Jetta ABA 2 liters specifically.
Indestructible engine, though. I mean, that thing.
But when everyone else had VRs and GTIs.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, life sucks at that point.
Sucks. It does. First world problems.
But you had better fuel economy, and you could redline that thing.
No one
and have
cares
more fun.
about that when you're 17 years old. I'm like, showing up at the Volkswagen meet. Hey guys, I just got 28 MPG. I don't even know if that was a thing in 1999.
No one cared. No one still cares. Well, maybe some people care, but no one cares.
Oh, some people care.
But,
yeah, that wasn't it.
Yeah. So that one, that's actually been under the knife for a while. It's going full right-hand drive. So I'm doing a right-hand drive swap.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just like something. It was like when I wrote out like what I wanted to do and like what my view of the car was. Right-hand drive was on there, and this was before I got into importing cars. Then it was like, all right, like I want to do kind of like, I'll say motorsport style, you know, even though like everyone does like a motorsport style.
Even though it's a 4-door?
Even though it's that's the curveball, even though it's a 4-door. So
Sleeper.
Before all that, I did a Polo open air swap to the roof. Okay. So I was actually one of the first ones in the U.S. to do a Polo open air ragtop. Everyone else, like most people do the Twingo, or they get like the California kit, where you cut a hole and you like measure it, you tell them your measurements, and they send you a thing to put in that leaks like crazy.
Okay. Is that how you got the company name?
That's how I got, so open air. So open air Nick was like my Instagram handle. And then as it started going, I was like, like open air imports flows. And like that just ties back to me and my cars. And, you know.
I like it.
Yeah. So that was the fun play on there. But yeah, so that's getting full metal wide body done.
Dang.
So yes, so that's getting close. Like we're finally getting really close. I've had a lot of people ask about like where we're at on it and the process, and it's been a lot. I by no means like I can do mechanical stuff. I can break things apart and rebuild it. You want me to weld? It's just not a skill set I have yet, and I didn't want to learn. I wanted it done right once. So. Eric Shively, he goes by like Eric Cash. He's built several Volkswagens on the East Coast. In Virginia, he owns his own shop called Precision Fit and Finish. So it's been with him, and him and this guy Josh, who's a metal worker, a metal worker fabricator. Like this guy builds like SEMA build, like I'll say the good SEMA build cars, like full like custom metal panels, like. They'll fully rebuild an entire front end of a car out of one piece of metal, and he's like the guy that does it.
Dang.
Like his skill set is unbelievable. And he's OCD enough, which is perfect because like we ran into an issue that like I didn't even think of back when I had this car, my Mark III back in high school. I was on my way to go snowboarding one winter, and this Jeep T-boned me, like just smacked me right in the rear quarter. It was fixed because, now that happens, like the car is just totaled, like they don't care anymore.
Yeah.
But it was fixed, and the company that I guess fixed it, it was close, but it was actually like with the metal wide body and like having identical rear arches, they were off. because of that quarter, that you know, that
Gotcha.
rear quarter panel being just off just a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Were you hitting this?" I had to think. I was like, "I don't think like no, I've never been in an accident." I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I was hitting that. Yeah, I forgot about that
That's
back when I was like 17."
This one time I went snowboarding. Yeah, now that I think about it.
Yeah. So I was told actually this week that it's close. They were able to like kind of recorrect the work they did, so it's dead on.
Nice.
Both sides match, so which means we're hitting primer, and then we're laying color.
Dude,
so,
do you have this
yeah.
posted anywhere? I don't see any pictures of this thing.
I think I've been kind of honestly, dude, I've been kind of lazy on my personal one. I mean, it's hard. I'll say it's hard, but it's been tough enough just trying to keep up with like content for the company.
I want people to take it back to when like we didn't have social media and you would have to go like to a car show or something to like see a car. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool that you're building something that you're not like constantly updating. So when you do have it done,
it everywhere.
It's like, where did this come from?
Yeah, there's some photos on it, but I mean, yeah, nothing recent at all. I mean, I think the last one was like April of April this year or last year, one of the two. I don't know. Like I said, I'm hardly in my personal one just because of how busy the company is. Yeah. Well, it's also hard to like. All right, I'm always posting car content on the business page. It's like, all right, what car content do I want to post on here? And it's just like my personal is like my personal life, which is why like, you know, I put up, you know, we have the barrier of like, if I don't know you, like you gotta like send me a request.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel you out before you follow me, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. But
dude, that's rad.
Getting a VR5 supercharged engine in. So those who aren't familiar, you know, Christian Smith did his VR5.
I was gonna ask you about that.
We'll circle back around to that when we brought that in.
Yeah.
So I've talked to him a bunch on like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like Matt at Eurocraft is going to do the harness. That's a no-brainer. Like Matt's a wizard with wiring stuff. And then probably going to go a different direction with some of the drop-in kits because I don't want it to be like full-blown race car. Like I don't want metal on metal mounts. I want
drivability.
To keep I want to keep the drivability. So I mean that's the plan. Like I mean it'll rip. It'll be fun.
And the VR5s never came to the United States either.
Yeah. And so it'll be.
Are you importing those motors too? Do you import things other than full fleet vehicles or? Was it?
No, I mean Open Air Imports is solely focusing on cars.
Okay.
I don't want to fully restructure and expand that quick into parts. Honestly, I had a nice, you know, opportunity with Christian come on of like, hey, like, do you want to do a container? Like, he reached out to us, and I was like, yeah, what do you have in mind? Like, let's try and figure this out. Like, if I can't, like, I'll either get you to someone who can and wants to do it, or like maybe we can bring something all together. And Brian Port, he's one of the owners at One Love Auto Group.
Shout out, Brian.
Up in Pennsylvania. Yeah. He's a really good dude. I reached out to him, and they had like just moved into a new facility. It's massive. People that know of them know that like they're Mark IV guys. Like R32s, 337s. I mean, just I'll say like specialty cars, and now they've gotten into like the Golf R's, like the 6s, the 7s. So they're typically on that side of things. But he was like, well, that was, you know, a side that we wanted to grow. Like they do parts, but they wanted to get into the Euro part stuff. I was like, hey, like here's the opportunity. You know, us three go in on it together, and then because they're already set up, like they're able to safely ship things. I mean, they've got a really, you know, they've got a really nice reputation for the quality of the parts, the shipping, the handling, just like personality. I think all three of us gelled really well. But I'm helping them with the container, with the import process. Christian and One Love are, you know, focusing on the parts, but you know,
it's a perfect
still
partnership.
have a heavy. Yeah, I mean, it blends out well, and you know, for us with the cars we are importing, when people are like, "Oh, like, how do I get parts?" Well, hit up One Love, or like I can refer you out to like one of my Euro partners who can help you get parts. And they'll ship it directly to you by DHL, and you'll have it in like 3 to 5 days.
Dang.
So
I'm gonna start putting a list together for you then.
let me know.
Sweet. So then, like, let's start. Like, I want to talk about open air imports. Like, what got you started with like the whole importing process? Like, was it a first car that you imported for yourself that you really wanted? Like, how did that whole thing start with you? And then, like, how did you turn that into a business?
Yeah. Well, many people may not know this, but I actually worked at Orchid Euro for about a year.
Nice.
Yeah. So I worked with Jamie. And it was a great experience, great learning path for me. I had moved up there after college and took on working and helping run the show and traveling all through the U.S. to the shows and things like that. So learned a good bit there. I mean, prior to that, it was just something I was interested in. Thus, like I got in there, and then I took a job back down in Maryland and moved back down and was still in the automotive stuff. Was talking with one of the guys I was working there, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, this is how I import cars, and like he was doing it on the side, solely like JDM stuff. Because when I was at Orchid, like I wasn't really doing the import stuff. I was more just like day to day, packaging, shipping stuff out, up like website.
Yeah.
Updating
they
inventory,
were like
just
Jamie and what he was doing with Orchid back in the day. He was kind of like the pioneer of that stuff, right? Is that safe to say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jamie is he is Orchid Euro. I mean, that's as far as I know, I mean, he's still running things there outside of being swamped with the VW stuff, which is huge. Like some of the cars that he's building. I mean,
dude, I want to get him on this podcast so bad. I want to like.
Oh, he'll do it.
Like,
there's no reason he wouldn't
he's
do
a busy dude, but man, I'm gonna try to get some episodes up, and I'll try to sneak in there and be like, "Hey, man,
get him after this. Like after he finishes this next build, I'm sure you can get him. Already tell Aaron. Like Aaron and Jamie are really good.
I'm trying to work the Aaron angle.
Aaron's
pulling for me.
Be able to nudge him.
But when I like, when I first, started hearing of Orchid Euro and what Jamie was doing, to me it seemed like from back then he was like the first guy who was like bringing cool stuff in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, especially for the European stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. Yeah, I mean, there's, you look at JDM market and it's just flooded.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just absolutely flooded. I mean, really, what got me kind of into this is I had, learned from the guy I worked with when I was with LKQ. Basically, like they own 90% of the junkyards throughout the U.S.
Whoa.
By the way, like people don't know this. Like it's a corporate company that owns all of these junkyards.
Dang.
And so it's all under one system. Yeah, I don't know how it's not a monopoly, but
because it's junk.
Yeah, I learned from one of the guys I sold with there, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "This is how I do it." And like learned from him, and then I had found a car. It was actually a steel blue. It was a 1994 right-hand drive Golf Estate.
Nice.
And 94 was right when they started them. So it was, I'll say, it was one of the very first legally imported estates to the U.S.
Gotcha.
As we all know, there are cars here. Some way or another. Some of them were brought back by military people before laws changed. Some were grandfathered in. Others were smuggled.
I was hearing stories of people like shipping cars to like Canada and then bringing them down. Did Canada have a different cutoff for the regulations?
Canada's 15 years.
15
U.S.
years.
is 25. Now, this goes by production date and or production month.
Okay.
In some cases, it can be production year. So, like, if a country like Brazil, Brazil does not keep track of vehicle production dates. It's only production year. So, whether it's an early 96, mid, or late, you can import.
Doesn't matter for Brazil. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. So, that's the way that goes. But typically, all Volkswagens and Audis have a particular production date. So that's what it goes off of. Now there's like several ways to time that. You could buy it. We could store it. My team could also like inspect it before you decided to buy it. Like there's a whole process there, and we'll go over that.
Yes.
But we can hold it until it's eligible, usually like 2 or 3 weeks prior. We'll prep it for export, put it on the boat. By the time that thing lands, it's already eligible, and we can, you can take delivery of it. So,
nice. So for people who don't know really what we're talking about, there is a regulation where we cannot import vehicles that are newer than 25 years. And that has to do really with DOT federal regulations. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So the 25 is predominantly DOT. There's a 21-year rule with EPA. So basically,
so emissions.
So emissions. So basically, like if you had, let's say, a Mark III with a Mark IV engine swap, it could come in because it's going to be EPA exempt. So there's a whole way to play it. So like buying a swapped car can still happen, but like we've got to have documentation of it. We've got to know like the vehicle. Like there's a whole step-by-step process that we have to follow.
Yeah. For it to be legal.
We do it by the book. Like if you don't want to do it by the book, like I'm not doing it. It's very simple.
Send it to homie in Canada and drive it back.
Yeah. And even then, like Canada's really cracked down. I mean, especially with, throughout COVID, the border's been closed.
Yeah.
And funny enough, we've been able to help customers import cars from Canada, even with that border being shut down.
Wow.
Like we helped, I can't remember. He works at Revival Motoring.
Josh?
No, not Josh. I want to say Chris.
Okay.
Chris sounds right. But he has imported his, I think it was Maritime Blue Porsche 911 from Canada. We brought a Polo Harlequin over. No, not a Polo. Gosh, I'm losing my mind. It was a Mark III Golf Harlequin. See, I deal with Polos all day, so that's like what's engraved
now. Got Polo on the brain.
Dude. Yeah. We're actually about to bring over another Mark III Golf Harlequin for a customer here in the U.S. from Canada.
Nice.
So they're slowly making their way back.
Rad. That's so crazy. Yeah. So when you started doing all this as like, what made you decide to go like make it a business? You know what I mean? Did you have friends that were coming to you? Like after you imported the first car that you wanted, did that kind of set a like something in motion to where people were coming to you with assistance for importing things? Like how did it all turn into a business for you? It
was a combination of things. I mean, I constantly had people reaching out to me, trying to get in touch with someone else, and that person or business was too busy, and I would have, basically be like, hey, like, yeah, I'll relay the message, and then it would turn into me like me helping out and figuring it out and doing it, sourcing. When I did that first steel blue Mark III estate, I had posted on my Instagram like, oh cool, like, hey, like have this coming. Super excited to have like a cool ready and drive estate, and it sold before it even landed.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it sold before it even landed.
Dang.
Like sale time from the UK to Baltimore is like 10 to 15 days.
Wow.
And it sold from like one post. And I wasn't even trying to sell it. Like it was just, Paul O'Hara actually out in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Shout out, Paul.
He had reached out. He was like, hey, like, he was like, how much you want for it? Like, I want it. Like, I'll fly out and buy it.
Sick. I love dudes like that.
Seriously? And that's from, talking with him, and he's originally from Scotland. And talking to him about all the cars and things like these, like, you should, he kind of like gave me that little nudge of like, you should do that. Like, do more. And that kind of just snowballed. I mean,
nice.
Did one, then I was like, okay, cool. Like, well, I'm going to double up now. Like, I'll try and find like 2 cars that are worth bring it over and like cut the learning curve, like just built my process and got it down.
So let me ask you this. This poses another question. Once you started doing that first handful of cars, how were you setting up, like finding these cars? Did you have someone overseas that you were working with that was kind of like checking the cars out? I know by this time, you could probably like see a lot of pictures and stuff, like the early days importing stuff, like it was hard to like, you know, actually get eyes on a car and what it actually looked like. That was the sketchy part of it, right?
Yeah.
But now, like
Yeah.
as time has passed, everyone's got cell phones or, you know, websites, pictures, Instagram, all that stuff. How did you start hooking up with people to actually like get the cars? Are you going on like classifieds and finding them yourself? Are you working with people overseas? How do those relationships start to build?
Yeah. So just Mark III community. I mean, there's guys in the UK and even like in Belgium, Germany. Like there are guys that I have just dealt with just personally throughout the years of like buying, trading parts, and like, you know, because they want the North America stuff and we want all their Euro stuff. So like, I mean, there's a handful of guys where like I've literally like traded parts with them just from over the years of buying parts off of each other, and they've, you know, have come on board. They're like, yeah, dude, like I'm all down to help. You know, no problem.
Sick.
And we figured out kind of like a plan for like what this looks like, whether it's, you know, kind of, I guess, dialing back to what this looks like for someone like looking on Gumtree, ebay.co.uk. Believe it or not, autotrader.co .uk is really good. I thought it was a little odd, but and dude, Facebook Marketplace is gold.
Yeah.
Like you can change your location, you can search for specific cars, and then you can connect right with the person selling. Now, like anything, even buying a car here, like there are scammers. There are people that will be shisty. They'll hide certain things. Like if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And that's like the biggest advice I'll give anyone looking. Like if you find something cool, shoot us a message, say, hey, found this car, like I'm interested. What would it cost? And kind of then we can dive into the process of like, all right, like here's the car, here's the cost, here's where it's located. 2 options. You can just choose to buy it. And like you can deal that with the seller. We can have it collected. If you want to do this like the safer route, you know, this is the amount that all in landed to, you know, to a port near you. Transport is extra, or you can pick it up there. But my team can view the car before you commit to buying it. Okay. You can just pay the fee for like them to go up and check it out, and like that's literally like whatever it costs. We don't mark it up. It's just like, hey, his time, fuel, food.
To get eyes on it,
yeah, to get eyes on it. Like, you know, my team does anywhere from like 30 to 70 some photos of the car. Like they're really picky too, which is great. Of just like, and a handful of them have been to the US, so they've been to our car shows where they're like, they know exactly what we need and what we want. So we're able to get eyes on, hands on, test drive it, like check compression, like fully come over the car. And prior to that, you can actually run the license plates of the cars. Like you can run the registration and even like look up any inspections. Has the car been in an accident? Owners? Has it been damaged? Like, has it been stolen? Like you can fully get a good idea of what the car is before you even go and look at it.
Nice. Dude, that's crazy. And that's all through networking
Yeah.
from just being a Volkswagen guy.
Yeah, that, and yeah, I mean, now it's like these guys are like locked in with us, like they are, you know, our teammates, and I mean, they're my, you know, my partners.
That is awesome. And so now, I've seen, like going through your Instagram, I've seen that you're also importing from different markets though. It's not just like the UK or Western Europe. I'm also seeing some stuff from like South America and all these other markets. So do you have like kind of the similar thing set up there where it's like, hey, I just happen to know these guys and then we just kind of bring them on and that's another market I can get cars out of?
Yeah, I mean, that's been exactly it.
Man, that's so awesome.
Even like, I mean, I'll say right now, there's not a lot of countries I can't touch.
Nice.
I mean, I won't do it. Like, you can't do a lot of things out of the Middle East just because of regulations and restrictions. Yeah. But like Australia, New Zealand, I mean, we're dabbling with some JDM stuff, just more or less by request. But the cool thing too that people don't know is like Japan got Volkswagens. Like there's cool different variations. There's weird nerdy things like even just like the tub insert like for, different cars, like the mounting plate. They just got just slightly weird things, which again is
the
kind of
Chinese
the cool
market
thing
had like the cool Boras and stuff, right?
Yeah. China's something I haven't tapped into yet. I mean, I'd love to, because there's a lot of, like, well, this, like, there's a lot of cool Mark II stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of really cool Mark II stuff, and even with them continuing that platform for so long, there's different things that, like, parts-wise you could get that would be really cool. But, yeah, I mean, we've done a couple cars out of Brazil, 2 Savieros and a Parati.
Nice.
So if you don't know what a Parati is, Google it. It's freaking weird and cool. It's like a Volkswagen Fox had a baby with a Gull, which we never got the Gull. It's like a Golf, but it's called a Gull. It's, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like Passat, a Fox, and a Gull had like a car.
I feel like
it's a 3-door inline wagon.
I feel like all those Brazilian market cars are like a Fox bred with something.
Yeah, I mean that was their base for everything, I think. Which is cool though. Like, I mean, I like a Fox. Like, well, funny enough, when we were at Dubs at the Lake the other month, my fiance, when we were driving, she's like, "Was that 2 cars put together?" and it was like a Fox, just like this school, this super rectangular 3-door. I was like, "No, that was a Fox," and I guess she had never seen one. Honestly, I haven't seen one in a long time. But yeah, it's cool.
They're cool. I was never a huge fan of the Foxes, but I've seen a couple. Like the 2-door Fox wagons were cool.
That's how I feel about Jettas, right? Like, I've seen a couple that are cool, but
and that's another thing too. Like, people are gonna flame me for this, but like, I was never like, I've had a couple buddies that had like some JDM market right-hand drive cars, and like I always hated them, like, because I hate driving on the right side of the car. First gear's way out here, and you're just like, this is too weird.
Yeah, no place to put your clutch foot anywhere. And I think it's definitely odd. I mean, there's no question there. I mean, it takes you about 10 minutes to kind of get comfortable. The big thing is like where you are in the lane. But I mean, other than that, like shifting, driving, like it's just the same. You're just on the other side of the car. I mean,
weird.
Yeah, we're getting pretty weird. But it's fun. I mean, it's something just a little different, which I think is, obviously why most people gravitate towards it or want something like that, which is why we're here to help fill that void.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, dude, it's crazy because we're in like a retro like fever right now. Not sure if I already said that, but like, the 25-year cutoff is 96, right? And
1996.
Volkswagen had so many crazy Mark IIIs in like all these different markets. Like literally, I think the Mark III was like the special edition heyday for Volkswagen, because there was like so many different Mark IIIs or special edition Mark IIIs in a lot of other markets, and some of them were just like a sticker. You know what I mean?
It was literally like, hey, here's a sticker on the side of the car, and this is going to be our movie edition. And then like you get one where it's like, okay, well, here are all of our leftover, Harlequin seat patterns. We're going to do a Joker edition. And it's like, let's slap this sticker on the side. Okay, all the seats have like a cool pattern. I can't figure out a rhyme or reason to like why they did certain things. And then, they did, the Rolling Stones. They did, they just did different variations of things and started adding subtle, like the Pink Floyd, I think the one that they did the best, where it has like the shift knob, I think like the stickers on the inside of the doors that no one ever sees, the hood, the back quarter, like there's just fun, weird, nerdy things that people like.
Yeah. So with all that, do you see kind of like a surge of people interested in importing all of these like, essentially special edition Mark IIIs that we didn't get here in the United States? Because to see one here at a car show, that alone would be like a big deal, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's some people have requested, hey, like if you see one, let me know. And, but then it's like, well, I want one with a VR6. It's like, well, they never put a VR6 in. So like you should just swap that when it's get it. Here. Otherwise, like depending on where it is, one of my team members could do it, but it's it'll be a process, you know, and then we got to do the EPA's file, you know. There's just, again, it adds to the process. But I mean, like, you know, the Savoy that we did for Christian Smith, that was like one of the special edition ones, which is really cool. And he's got like, I think he's trying to catch them all. He's like getting all the different editions, which is really cool.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I think we're gonna see like more of that, like just like what special edition hasn't made here yet. I want that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And kind of stuff like that.
It'll get to that.
I think so too. And it'd be like, hey man, did you know that was just a sticker and like a colorway on the interior or whatever it was?
And the cool thing too is, like, even though they did those special editions on the Golfs, funny enough, some of the estates are special editions. So, or like estate variants, that means the same thing. It's just a wagon.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's like, they did a Joker edition. There's the yachting edition, which everyone I think seems to want, just because it has, like, again, just weird different stuff. It's got the lip. It's got the badging on the inside, on the hatch. It's got the different wing. Like, there's just, it's got the hatch insert, like the lower tub. There's just, again, weird stuff being weird stuff.
And people want it.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any like horror stories, or have you had any crazy horror stories with a situation trying to import a car, or maybe you have imported a car and it shows up and anything like that? Any juiciness?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, it happened to me. Like, best case scenario, it happened to me. I had a '93 Mini Cooper.
Okay.
And for those who haven't ever sat or driven in a Mini, they're really low to the ground. Like, we all drive lowered cars, but like, these things they're low. And I guess the port worker that day was trying to leave at like 4, you know, like get out at 4:55. When they drove the car either on or off the vessel, the exhaust like yanked and literally like completely ripped it back. So like right from the downpipe, and the rest of the exhaust was just damaged. So fortunately, we have marine insurance on everything. Nice. Like, basically, your car is covered from port to port. So if anything happens, we file the documents we need and do an insurance claim, and then, you know, within 30 days, they pay out on it. So it kind of sucked, but I mean, we were able to like take that exhaust and sort it all out after the insurance claim went through. But like that, I think that's definitely the worst one. Other than that, everything else, I mean, we've been really fortunate with the process, and just, again, like the way we do things, that nothing's really come up.
Dude, that's cool. I was expecting to hear a lot more than that. Because that's like...
No, like the boat catch on fire and sink in the ocean, like all those Porsches?
Exactly. Well, that's what you would hear, like, in the early days when people were trying to import stuff over even, like, JDM stuff. You would just hear all these, like, horror stories of, like, things happening to the cars, or...
Yeah, like the car's trapped at port and no one will act. Like, oh yeah, dude, I'm a part of a couple different like importer groups and even ones, just some other pages, and like, dude, some of the stories I'm like, holy crap, like how are you still like doing business? Like you should be out of here, dude. Like that does not fly. Yeah, I mean, we keep it pretty cookie cutter. I mean, it's, you know, I try to at least be very straightforward and being kind of no bullshit on things. Like, hey, it's fun, but like, this is what we need to do. Here's what we need to figure out. Like, yes or no. And, you know, when it's game time, it's game time. And then after that, in between, like, we can joke around and whatever, but like, again,
that seems like a lot of like, there's a lot of nuance, it seems, to that, you know, a lot of checking the boxes. So when you have you probably have a specific protocol for yourself when you're importing something, whether, you know, it's someone else sourced it or however you're doing it. How many vehicles can you handle at any given time? Are you doing like 4, 5, 6 cars at a time, bringing stuff in? Like, how does that typically work out? Or do you cut yourself off at like a certain point, or?
No, I don't cut myself off. I mean, yeah, no, that, dude, I'll work until I need to. I mean, I think at least like a lot of my current customers, like they'll say like, yeah, he's messaging me at like 6 in the morning up until like 10 o'clock at night.
Do you want this car or not, bro?
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of, obviously having your own business. Like we are an LLC. And it also kind of works because like my home life, my fiance's she finished up her master's. So like
Nice.
that was also like the other cool segue of me starting this was like, all right, well, she's got, school. So like I can start a business and see what happens.
Nice.
So it's been a good balance there. But yeah, I mean, as for like taking on customers, cars, like whatever, yeah, it's wide open. I mean, we just had 3 cars land this week.
Nice.
2 have been delivered. The third one's being picked up tomorrow. I mean, last week we had 6 cars come in.
Dude.
3 weeks before that, we had about 10 come in. Like, dude, it's just, yeah, I mean, they just roll. And all from different places. I mean, again, I have my own process with things of like, okay, cool. You found your own car. Have you made first question, have you made contact with that seller? Like, have you talked to them at all? Okay, no, you haven't. Like, send me the listing.
Yeah.
So then I'll look at it and say, like, I'll do my quick check of like, okay, the car's not eligible.
So in that case, is it better for someone just to come to you if they're looking for a car and just like forget about like doing the whole like, oh, I'm going to go find a car and then get a hold of Nick and see if he can help me out with it? Would it just be better if anyone was like coming to you to get a car imported, or if they're interested in a specific car to be imported, then it's best off just to contact you directly and be like, hey man, this is what I want?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of ideal if like someone knows exactly what they want. And like they've already found it, because then, again, that could stem into, hey, have you made contact with them? If not, like, okay, cool, we can, but we still want you to reach out, because sometimes like sellers abroad, like they just don't reply.
Yeah.
I mean, I've missed out on several cars from like Germany, from Switzerland, like wherever, because they just don't reply. Even with sending if it's a car in Germany, like I'll type it out and translate it. So it's in German. I'll put a line and I'll put my response in English. So that way I can kind of maybe try it on both sides and get a response. And then we'll have, one of our Euro partners reach out as well and try to get a reply. So usually between myself, my Euro partner, and the customer, like one of us 3 can get a reply is the hope. And then from there, like, obviously looking at the car, making sure it's USA eligible, doing like the quick, I'll say like vehicle background check, which is all mostly manual. Like they don't have Carfax. So you can't just, oh, here's the VIN and here's all your information. Like it doesn't work that way.
Right. Man, that just seems like so much work, especially if you're dealing with multiple cars at a time. Wow.
Yeah,
I would love to see your organization, like how you organize everything. All right, Ryan's Golf Rally.
Yeah, it's a lot of Excel files, and I write everything. Like every person gets like their own little file, and that's where everything lives. The cool thing will be is in the next couple months, we're fully redoing our website. Our website's great. It served the function that I wanted to start with, but now it's the way things have grown and developed. I need to automate a lot of this. So we're basically going to have like 2 different ways to get started. Hey, I found a car I want imported, or I want to, add me to your list for, to search for a vehicle. So we can go about it either way. But yeah, I mean, if you found the car, you want it to be brought over, contact us, shoot me the listing, and like let's party. I mean, we can get that thing going pretty quick.
Nice. Ooh, that's so awesome. With how long have you been importing cars? I want to try to put a timeline on things.
This is like the first official year of being an LLC, but I did it all last year. And what's 21? I'll say like 2.5 years now.
Man,
it's kind of, yeah.
It seems
it
like
started
you've done
out
a
slow,
lot,
and then
it seems like you've done a lot in 2.5 years, man.
it's slingshotted, man. I mean, again, I'm very lucky and fortunate, and I mean, I also at least like to think I have a really nice reputation in the car world and the Mark
Mm-hmm.
III world, where I know enough people and enough people have interacted with me in some form where that's helped, I think, bridge the gap of like, oh, this is a spam company, like they're just reposting cars. Like, no,
Mm.
we're not. Like,
Yeah.
either we're doing like a find of the day, like, hey, here's a cool ass car we found, and
Mm-hmm.
here's the cost landed. Like, here are rough costs all in landed. Because
Sick.
I mean, dude, like when you're looking at a car, like, do you want to know like a full itemized breakdown of like, hey, here's what this costs, this, or do you just want to see like,
I just want to see a
hey,
price, man. Just
yeah, here's
show
the
me that
cost, like,
price.
yeah. I mean, it's the
Don't itemize it.
like,
That makes it worse.
yeah. I mean,
I
it's
feel
just
like
like,
it's
hey,
more
man,
expensive when you itemize it.
it is too. And I mean, the other thing, I mean, a lot of people don't understand is like sometimes importing costs more than the car.
Yeah.
You know, like
Mm-hmm.
it's just the reality of it, especially with the way things have changed through the past, I'll say, year and a half, 2 years now, with
Mm-hmm.
COVID and like rates increasing, freight
Fuel.
prices going up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, fuel fluctuating like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are things that dictate those costs, and like our fees are relatively set. Like, I don't, you know, I don't price gouge on things. It's like, hey, like our fees, you know, about 750. It can go up to like 1500. It depends on
Mm-hmm.
if you found the car, if we're finding the car,
Yeah.
the time and hours we have in it. Like, you know, we try to figure that out, but also work with people's budgets.
Nice. That's awesome. And what, like, when you were doing this, was there that like one car that you like imported that you're like super stoked on? Is there like one, like a specific car, like maybe earlier on or even like recently that you were just like super stoked to get over here?
Uh, I
You can't say all of them.
no, I wasn't gonna say all. Like they're all fun. Like every single one's fun. Like dealing with, you know, our clients.
It must feel
is a
amazing.
blast.
It must feel amazing because like this is like for me. I'm gonna like for me. If I contact you, I was like, hey man, I want a golf rally. Like I have the cash. I want a Mark II golf rally. Like it's my dream car, and that thing showed up. That would be like a dream come true to me. So you get to kind of see that play out all the time.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun. I mean, it's like it has the business side of it where it's like, okay, cool. Like this is the real live business. Like I have to run it that way. But then there's
Hmm.
also the side of it where it's like, no, it's just fun. Like it's just pure fun. And like you said, like getting someone the car that they really wanted.
Hmm.
Like whether it's right hand drive or left hand drive, like whatever it is, like it's just fun, man. I mean, I'm a
It's gotta
car
feel
guy. That's
good. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's the other reason. Like I started all this is like we're enthusiasts.
Hmm.
Like my thing is like, you know, enthusiasts run and driven. Like that's like, you know, we're in it to help each other. Like
Hmm.
even if, you know, I was sourcing a car for a guy today and he was like, hey, like I want a Mark III Jazz Blue. I was like, okay, like that's very specific and
Hmm.
great. Like I love it when it's just one car and it's that specific. And it's like, I was like, do you want left-hand drive or right-hand drive? I was like, do you want Euro spec or are you looking for North America? And he was like, oh, like either. I was like, dude, my friend has one. Like, let me, like, I'm just gonna, like, here's the information. Here's his listing. Like, just give him a shout. Like, I'll, like, tell Brian I sent you his way. And it's another Brian. I know a lot of Brian's, funny enough.
Shout out, Brian.
Yeah, but Brian Gates out in Oregon.
Oh, he's by me. Nice.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Where
Shout
are you?
out, Brian. I'm in Bend, Central Oregon. Is he in like Portland
Oh,
area?
well, you might know his car then. It's the Jazz Blue. I mean, it's like fully stupid clean, slammed to the ground on air. I think he's on like I want to say RHs.
I might have to look that dude up.
You gotta know him.
I might have seen it. Oh, dude, I've seen it. He's probably. I think I've seen it at Pacific Waterlands. He's had the car for more than a handful of years, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah. No, I've seen it.
yeah.
I've seen it
Well,
at Pacific
and now
Waterlands.
he's supercharging it. I don't know if you
Yeah.
can see that, but
Things sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Freaking
Your head, you're
supercharged.
like in your head, you're just an encyclopedia of like cars. Like anyone, hey man, I'm looking
Yeah.
for. Oh, dude, this guy has one.
yeah. Well, and I told him I was like, dude, I was like, I mean, I can help you get one, but like, there's one here. Like, it's extremely clean. I mean, I would buy it, but I have too many cars already.
I have a couple friends with project car money burning holes in their pockets. I'm gonna have to send you their way. They have a very specific Mark IIIs and Mark IVs that they want.
Yeah, but to your question, the most gratifying car so far has probably been this guy Mike Bobolek out in Missouri.
Shout out,
He's
Mike.
He's a Corrado guy. Nice. We were able to help him like source, inspect, and view with the help of our team in the UK for a Corrado Storm. So
nice.
The Storms, as you know, they did 500, and it was the last 500 of the run. 250 in green, 250 in mystic blue. So like super limited to get it. We've actually brought in 2 Storms to the US. Nice. But yeah, so we were able to help him get this, and then he turns around and goes, oh yeah, hey, like I found this Blackberry Corrado. Can you guys help me get that too? So we shipped 2 Corrados all at the same time. Dude. And then a couple weeks later, he goes, oh, hey, I found this Mazda Miata. Like, I want to get it for my wife. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's get it. Like, and then, yeah, I mean, it was just fun because it was like his car, and then like his son's really involved. His wife was getting, like, you know, they all, like, their entire family's just kind of into the weird, fun right-hand drive stuff. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like that's been like the most fun one to deal with, or like the most fun customer that I've dealt with too. Right. He's light, it's easy. We're both kind of like same personality on some things.
Nice.
Except I'm not huge into Corrados yet.
You have any like? You don't have to name anybody, or you could. Do you have any like nightmare customers who just be like, "Where's my car, dude? Where's my car, dude?" Or
no,
maybe dudes who like couldn't fork up the cash. You have any?
No,
is everything like paid up front, and then?
Yeah, everything's paid up front. I mean, it's no bullshit. Like, it's cookie cutter.
Has anyone tried to back out? Like, here's my money, and then buyer's remorse like a week later, like, oh, my wife.
Yeah, like the wife tells you can't have it.
That's always the excuse, by the way. That's always the excuse.
I figured
the wife could just be like totally oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah, I've had 2 people do it. No, I'm not naming any names. I mean, I've had 2 people do it. I've learned from it.
Are you stuck at that point? Are you just stuck with the car to sell? Like, are the wheels already too far in motion at that point? Like,
it depends on the stage. I mean, if it's a car that like we've bought and is sitting in like our Euro or UK facility until it sells, because like we'll do that. Like, we'll take our own money, we'll buy some cars and be like, because like we want to get them here. Like, that's the whole reason we're trying to buy them and get them here. And the reason we structure it that way is because we're still super early. Like, you know, I don't have $1 million to become. Well, exactly. I don't have the capital yet to become a dealership and then be like, hey, cool, like we have all these cars here. So like our inventory is I'll say typically broad. And then, you know, they'll go that way. But yeah, I mean, if it's a car where we have an inventory and they decide to back out of it, like, deposits are non-refundable unless we get someone else to commit to the car.
Okay.
So if like you're in on the car, you decide to back out, like we hold the deposit until someone else comes in to take that vehicle.
Gotcha.
And then we'll issue your money back. So that's like, I think the most safe way to do it, as well as keeping like a check and balance between the business and, you know, a client.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You know, and I think keeping it fair, like that's the best way I could come up with a balance. And so far it's worked now. I mean, there was 2 cases where like the guy decided to buy the car and then 2 weeks later he's like, oh, I need my money back. I'm like, that's fine, but your deposit's non-refundable. Like, you said you wanted the car. We're like, you've already sent me, like, we've already filled out all the paperwork. The car's ready to ship.
That's a bummer.
And then and then it was just like, okay, like, hey, at that point it wasn't worth, like, at that point it just wasn't worth dealing with it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, dude, you know what? I've had 5 other people message me about this car. Like, I'll move it.
I was going to ask that too. Like, when those situations pop up, you're probably going to have someone in line who's going to want it. right? Typically.
Yeah, I mean, right now when I post a car, it's if it doesn't sell, it's probably because it was just expensive, and people didn't see, I guess, didn't want it, don't have the money for it, the value in it, whatever. But typically, like, if I'm posting something, like, it sells. It's selling within 24 hours.
What do you think, in your experience of everything you've been importing, what do you think is like the butter spot or like the sweet zone as far as cost? Like that you see people not having an issue with spending versus, you know, something top tier, a little more expensive?
Yeah, I mean, like 5,500 to,
It's not bad.
I mean, I'll say up to like 9,000.
Okay.
That's real, like,
So
I mean,
10 grand and under.
dude, it's a Volkswagen, like it's a 25-year-old Volkswagen. Like you can go out and buy a Mark III for like, I'll say $300 up to like $3,000.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a normal bone stock one. If you wanted one from an Enthusiast, it's been taken care of. I'll say typically it's been taken care of. It's got modifications, like it's got upgrades to it where there's value to that. You know, the way we structure our costs is literally like cost of the car, cost of getting it, however long it's had to sit in, like, you know, with my partners and accrue like a monthly storage fee, any service costs, like basically just the cost of the vehicle,
Right.
and like the cost associated with that. And then it's okay, here's like what we bought the car for. That's the sale price coming into the US. So here's all of the, you know, here's all the numbers, the fees, like this is our all-in landed number with us having our capital out for X amount of months and so on.
Right.
So that's how we generate like our numbers.
Are the deposits based on the value of the vehicle, or do you have like a flat deposit?
Dude, it could be, no, I mean, deposits are typically 50%.
Okay.
Like, I mean, there's cases, again, if someone was like, hey, man, like, I can put this, like, I'd be comfortable putting this much down and then the rest, you know, on this date or whatever.
You'll work with people depending on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's life. I mean, I don't want someone to ever overextend themselves onto a car. Like, I'm still a person. Like, we're all people. Like, I don't want someone to be in a terrible spot because they needed to have this car. Like, dude, yes, we can work something out. This may not be the right car for you right now. You know, like, someone else will take this one. If it's still available, you're welcome to it. But, like, you know, try to just still be human about things. And again, just super transparent.
Awesome. What is the most expensive car you've imported thus far and sold? I want to know.
So there was like a 5,000. Well, you're gonna love this one. So we posted. It was a red rally golf.
Oh.
It had about 5,000 miles on it originally.
No way.
So it was like, yeah. And that went to a collector. I'm not yet. So I have a list of collectors we work with that I can't really say much more than that. But
that's fine. Yeah.
that was just shy of 100,000.
Oh. Dang.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, dude, I guarantee you in a couple years you'll see it go up on like Bring a Trailer and it's going to pull like 200, 250 because I mean, that's again, you know the rallies, like it's a limited production.
My dream car, if you ever find a really beat one, that's more of my kind of area of expertise. Like the more clapped out, the better.
Yeah. The problem is, and I've had this conversation with a couple people recently, dude, the rally golfs, like the market shifted on them. I mean, they used to be like 15 to like 25,000, like all in landed, like you could get them cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, those days are gone.
Yeah.
It's like 30K up all day. I mean, unless you get lucky and you find someone that's selling one for like 20,000 and it's going to need a bunch of work. Then you're
kind of like, this thing might be a scam, right? If you're starting to see.
Yeah. Yeah. One guy was advertising a rally, but it was front wheel drive with a TDI engine in it. Like it looked like a rally on the outside. Like it was a metal, like it was like wide body and like he had the seats and everything. And then the inside, like just things weren't right. And I was,
that's weird.
Yeah. So you gotta be, you can't, again, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to, and the guy's price was like 15,000 euros. So I was like, well, that's close enough. Like, that could be real. And it was far from it.
I want one so bad, but not in this lifetime, probably.
One day.
One
You never
day.
know.
One day. I mean, I feel like that with a lot of things, dude. Like, I really wanted a T3 Vanagon, but those things are astronomically through the roof. If it's a synchro, don't even, I mean, you're
don't even consider
30K
it.
up. I've seen them go for like 70, 80, depending on,
Dude, the market's wild.
It's nuts.
I will say, we might be able to undercut the market on that though. With like, I mean, with an imported one, or if you're cool with like a Vanagon, like Vanagon started what, 94 or the T3 T4s.
I have a T4.
Like,
yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, but I had to get a T4 because I didn't want to spend T3 money.
Yeah, that's fair.
And now I'm hoping that the T4s are gonna like just shoot up to the moon for no reason. Just like everyone will want a T4 tin top.
Give it, like, hold on to it for another 10 years, and yeah, maybe people will do them like they're whatever.
Hey, nobody wanted Mark IIIs like 10 years ago, dude.
Yeah, now look, they're moving like hotcakes.
I know, dude. I'm so bummed I sold mine.
You want one?
Maybe. Maybe. We'll have some discussions. There's some things I've like following guys on Instagram and having these conversations. There's some things that have piqued my interest that would be cool.
Like?
I mean, it would be cool to, a 2.9 Golf variant synchro. That would be a rad car, especially where I'm at.
I got one outside.
I know. Well, maybe we'll talk about it after the.
You might have to talk to Christian Smith on it, but no, I've from going to Dubs at the Lake. I mean, the guy, like, I've had several offers on it already, and it's like I wanted to keep this one for myself for a while, and again, it's that same scenario of like, well, you know what, like, I do want a green one because I like green cars for some reason. Like, that's my thing. I like green cars. So like the purple one it'll go eventually, or it'll be, officially for sale. But we can help you. We can help you get the one.
Yeah. So I'm saying, how plentiful like are those? Like, we'll use that car as an example. I come to you and I'm like, hey, I want one of these. That exact car you have. I don't care what color. Lower on the mileage if possible. Obviously, I want it in, better than fair condition. Yeah.
It's a little tough. So like we can find estates now relatively, I'll say fairly easy.
I really like the TDIs too.
Right.
I'm not opposed to a TDI.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the TDI. So like TDI synchros we can find. Like those, I mean, there's a handful of them for sale all the time. Again, just being picky with what we want. The 2.9 are rare. They're hard to find. There's like 2 for sale right now in Germany. Like, that's kind of it. And then having Climatronic, so like the digital display for heat, AC. That's also, sorry, my like Siri thing keeps popping up. But finding the Climatronic is really rare. Like, that's just a specialty option that you had to order with. Otherwise, you're back to the dials. And a lot of them don't have air conditioning. So like, that's funny enough, like people don't realize like UK cars typically don't have AC. Like if a UK car has AC, like it's probably going to be worth a little bit more.
Weather there doesn't really call for it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not fully necessary. I think we just assume here in the US that like, hey, every car has AC. No, like not the case. But yeah, I mean, getting into like, a TDI Synchro may or may not have AC. Like we could find one with it, but
AC doesn't matter for me, dude. I'll go
your West
no
Coast
AC.
chilling. Yeah.
My Eurovan doesn't have AC. Although it was like 90 degrees randomly the other day, and I was like, I wish this had AC.
Yeah, it was, well, in Virginia, you get hot and humid.
We don't have the humidity here. It just gets hot. But then I just like take all my clothes off and I'm driving around in a Eurovan in my underwear.
And you blend in with everyone else.
I'm in Oregon, dude. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
Dude, this has been so awesome, man. Like, just a great education on, you know, kind of what you're doing and the process, and everything like that, and all the cool stuff that you're bringing in, man. I just think it's super awesome, and I can't wait to see like more of this stuff coming in. You know, like I'm actually like going out and like, you know, you'll post something or like tag an owner. I'm like, I'm gonna follow this guy. Whoa, he's got this cool car now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just cool to see where the cars are going, who like how you're bringing them in, like where they're ending up, like what people are doing to them. It's just super interesting, the entire process and like everything you got going, man. So it's super awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, like I said, it's just something fun to do, and it's, you know, again, it's
I love
also
how
has the business side of it.
Yeah, I love how you turn something that you're passionate about into a business for yourself. That's just like
Yeah.
in the community as well. You're providing a service to all the Volkswagen nerds out there. You're having fun doing it, and you know it's a sustainable business for you. You're like living off of it. It's awesome. That's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting there for sure.
Super rad.
But yeah, it's fun, man. I mean, you know, I won't complain. We're right now, like, honestly, probably since Dubs at the Lake,
Mm-hmm.
which was a show here in Western Maryland, which
Mm-hmm.
was it was the same weekend as the show in Helen.
Yeah.
So that was
Alpine
kind of a
Bag Fair.
yeah, the Alpine Treffen Alpine Vag Fair, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. It was a bummer they were on the same weekend because I would have
Mm-hmm.
loved to have been there.
Mm-hmm.
But like really glad I went to Dubs at the Lake because it was just people like enthusiasts within like the surrounding states. So it
Mm-hmm.
was all like not hyper local, but it was just like
Yeah.
local people around that I haven't seen, you know, in a year.
Mm-hmm.
But also being like, oh hey, like what's up guys? Like yeah, like
Yeah.
you know, this is what we do, and having a booth there, and the guy uh, Jonathan Lai puts on a really good show. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was 251 cars in the
Nice.
cruise around the
Wow.
lake.
Dang.
Yeah, which was as many cars as they had at the show the year prior.
Wow.
So like the show literally like doubled. I mean, I think show day there was close to maybe like 450, 500 cars. Like
Dude.
ECS tuning was there.
Mhm. It
Like
looked like a
Black
great,
Core showed up.
yeah, it looked like a great turnout. I followed it, you know, on Instagram and stuff. I followed you guys, saw some pictures and stuff that you guys were posting, the roll in and the roll out for the drive and all the cool cars and
Yeah,
stuff. And dude, I'm so happy to see that stuff, especially after the last year and all the COVID stuff. But thinking about it, it's like, man, like people had time off to like finish their builds, and then they had, you know what I mean? And that, what does everyone do? They want to get out and show
yeah.
off their cars or just
Show
hang out
off
with
and do
friends.
something.
So I'm so
Yeah,
glad that kind of like jump started like the car show scene again. And then everyone has like
yeah,
this, it's not like before, like the show scene thing was getting really toxic and really competitive. You know what I mean? And it was
yeah,
like, now I think everyone's kind of dialed that back, and it's just like we just want to hang out. You know what I mean?
yeah. I honestly, I think like the reset
Hmm.
button was hit, and it's you know at least out here like we used to have H2O in
Hmm.
Ocean City, which was like I went to the show for 13 years straight. It
Yeah.
was in Ocean City, full weekend. I mean, you know what it is.
Hmm.
Everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
Like it was all Volkswagens and Audis. Like cruising up and down the strip of Ocean City, hanging out. Like it was super laid back. There wasn't idiots being idiots. Like
Hmm.
it now it's just completely ruined. But like
Yeah.
I feel like that reset button has been hit on all of the shows where it's like
Hmm.
it's kind of gone back to how things should be, where it's just easy, it's laid back,
Yeah.
it's fun, it's like
It's why a lot
pop
of
up
us,
meets, cruises.
yeah, it's why a lot of us got into the Volkswagen community in the first place, because it wasn't, you know, it was like a more laid back kind of like family, homey oriented kind of vibe. And then it started
Yeah,
getting kind of toxic and turning into the other scenes that we didn't want to be a part of in the first place, you know? So
yeah, and you
I
know
agree with you.
everyone's got their own yeah, and everyone's got their own thing they're into. We're just
Hmm.
you know I think the majority of us just aren't into that.
Yeah.
Like Jettas.
We're old. We're just old. That's what it is. We're old and boring. Man, well, dude, thank you so much for hopping on and talking with me. I definitely would like to do this again. Keep tabs, follow up with you, like as things progress, get you back on, talk about some cool stuff. If you have anything pop up, you want to talk about, let me know. Do you have anybody you want to shout out and say what's up to? Give props?
Give props.
Yeah, dude.
Definitely give props out to, my UK Euro team, Nick Wright at Wright's Restoration. He does the bulk of my UK stuff. Pete Asbury. I call him like my weird Corrado guy in the UK. He's helped like really make sure these cars are as they are. Awesome. Ivan in Belgium.
Shout out Ivan.
Most people may know him by his car. He's got like this teal blue. Funny enough, he's got a Jetta. It's a TDI. It's a Mark III, but it's really cool. He did a nice job on this one. But he's been huge help with the Euro stuff. Christian Smith, Brad Dubois here in Maryland. He actually runs a lot of our cars within the DMV area. Nice. To deliver those. And then, my business partner, Mike Brash.
Shout out, Mike.
It's a big team. It's a network, and, we couldn't really be where we are without everyone else's help and time and commitment to just trying to do something cool.
That's awesome, man. And I really love what you're doing. I love how you turned a passion into a business. You're helping out the community. You're bringing cool cars into the market. I just think everything you're doing is super rad. So keep it up, man. Keep going.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And let me know when you want to, hang
import
out,
something?
kick some rocks, and talk cars, import something maybe.
For sure, man. I will 100% take you up on that offer. But Nick, man, thank you so much again for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Fuck yeah, man. No problem.
Take it easy. Thanks, everybody,
right,
for listening. Bye.
See you.
Fuck yeah, podcast! Fuck yeah, podcast! Fuck yeah, podcast!